What's going on, guys? Today I'm bringing another ratings review for NHL 23, only this time we're looking at the Hockey Ultimate Team ratings. So obviously it's going to be a little bit different. The hot ratings are not the same as like the offline modes. They kind of have their own system. I think there's certain stats that they don't use, like I don't think there's a poise stat. There might be something else in there as well. And plus two, they just kind of do it their own way, as you guys can see on the screen right now. So Mcdavid, no longer 95 overall, highest rated card in the game. He's only an 87, which obviously they keep the ratings lower when the year starts out, so they can release the special edition of the cards that are higher rated throughout the year, obviously making you open more packs and such. Now, to my surprise, honestly, I think a lot of other people's too, McDavid's not the highest rated card in HUT. Like, I thought, he would be obviously a high 80, but I was thinking he'd probably be the highest rated, whether that was an 88 and 89. So to only have him as 87, tied with McKinnon, Vasilevsky, Matthews, even Marie-Philippe Poulin, I think is very surprising. Again, McDavid, in my mind, should be highest rated card in HUT. I don't know why they have him the same there as four other players. After those top five, you got Crosby, Ovi, Hedman, Josi, Draisaitl, Makar, Shesterkin, all 86. So really nothing, too bad here looking at it. But to take a closer look, one thing I found quite strange was the fact that Poulin's checking there is 86, even though they don't hit in the women's game. So I'm not sure how she has such high checking, and just kind of show you guys how high it is. She has better checking than everyone else in the top 12 players, except for Ovi and Hedman, who are only one higher. Like, Roman Josi, for instance, here, 85 checking. If you guys remember, he had top 10 strength in the game, 92 strength there, with Leon Draisaitl. Obviously, strength goes into that checking category. Draisaitl even 84, so that's just quite strange to me. Like, again, I'm fine with, her being a higher rated. They have the women's ratings separate from the men's ratings based on kind of how they do in, their own leagues, which I think is the way to go. But I feel like the checking stat could definitely be more realistic, especially Cale Makar there, 78. So, like, they're fine with having Makar's checking low. I just don't quite understand that. I feel like even with, low checking, they're going to be a fast player. They're going to be a smaller player like a Johnny Gaudreau. I think most of the women are like, 5'6" to 5'10", in that range. Obviously, they don't weigh as much either. So, again, very like Johnny Gaudreau-like players, I feel, in the game. The checking stat, it's really confusing to me. I don't understand why, she has better checking than Austin Matthews, Crosby, Roman Josi, Draisaitl, Makar, McKinnon, McDavid. It's just a weird choice to me, but it is what it is. Now moving on here, guys, to the second page, you can see half women, half men. One thing I noticed, guys, you might actually notice as we go through here, a lot of goalies in the top 50. I think 11 of the top 50 are goalies, so it's going to kind of suck if you get like a purple pull, you're all excited. Turns out it's just a goalie. And two, with that, obviously everyone likes the bigger goalies. So your Saros, for instance, and even obviously a lot of the women's goalies who are only like 5'9", people are only going to want to use in HUT. Now, having said that, in the video that came out today, they actually do describe how goalies now in HUT that are shorter are going to have boosted glove high, as well as boosted speed and agility to try and make up for that size gap. So maybe the shorter goalies will actually be the meta. But if it's like how it's been the past 5+ years, big goalies are still going to be the way to go, even if they are lower rated. So I'm looking at these ratings here, not too bad. I think Kucherov should definitely, be in that 86 category with the rest of them. Patty Kane there, 85 overall. On its own is fine, but when you see who's higher rated then, it's definitely a little bit weird. Again, you can see, Sarah Nurse there, 87 checking, which means she has as good checking as Alex Ovechkin and Victor Hedman. Again, I don't quite understand that one. Obviously, I'm sure someone will say it's based on the women's game, but they don't hit in the women's game, so like it really just doesn't make any sense to me. So moving on from there, guys, to the third page, you got Mitch Marner there, is also an 85. Trevor Zegras there's an 85. So he's as good, according to the Hockey Ultimate Team, I guess you would call it, as Mitch Marner, Panarin, Matthew Tkachuk, Kyle Connor, Adam Fox, Kaprizov, Kucherov, Barkov, Huberdeau, Kane. I don't know about that one. Obviously, clearly, without a doubt, he's getting a cover boost here. And honestly, I'm fine with like a bit of a cover boost, but this one I think is a little bit egregious. It's just too high rated. I think, Lucas Raymond should be around what Zegras is rated. Zegras could be one higher. I'm guessing Raymond's going to be like an 80, 81 in HUT. So this doesn't really make much sense to me. The rest of the ratings here, though, honestly, on this page aren't too bad. Kaprizov, I think, is probably a little bit underrated. Should be more of that 86. Marner there, one thing that's kind of funny, you can see he's got 83 defense, even though he's one of the better defensive wingers in the game. As I look at the last page here, you can see Patty Kane's got higher defense. Patty Kane literally doesn't play defense. Same with Huberdeau there, 85 defense. Marner's is worse than those two guys. So again, I'm fine with like the ratings starting out lower for HUT. I'm fine with the women's ratings being higher, but I feel like they still are not as realistic as they should be based on like the individual stuff when you like look at how a player plays. Defensive guys having worse defense than all offense guys. the women having better hitting than like some of the best hitting men. Definitely, you know, more attention to details needed in my opinion. Next page here, I think is the last one. So you got Stamkos here, 84 overall, which at first glance might seem fine. But then you remember that Steven Stamkos was 85 overall in Hut last year and is coming off a 106-point season, which means they decided that 106 points is worthy of a -1 downgrade. You gotta make it make sense for me, guys. I just don't understand that choice at all. The rest of these guys here, you know, for the most part, I think are fine. Dylan Larkin there, 84, on par with Eichel, Pastrnak, Rantanen. Again, I love Larkin. My favorite player with McDavid. I don't think he's on the tier of, you know, these guys here. I would say he's on Landeskog's tier, but I also think Landeskog probably isn't in the tier with the rest of these guys. Kopitar, maybe 84, probably more like an 83. Again, Marchand, Malkin. These guys are, you know, players who've put up 100-plus points in their career. Consistent top scorers. Landeskog, Larkin. Kopitar, kind of not on that level. Also, too, I should mention, you might have noticed, I mentioned him earlier, no Johnny Gaudreau in the top 50. I showed you guys the stats page. He was tied with Huberdeau last year for second in points in the NHL. Doesn't make the top 50 list. That's kind of crazy. I'm assuming probably because like his checking stats are really low, but Pastrnak there's got 78 checking. Like, how low are they going to make Gaudreau's, honestly? It is what it is. We actually do get to see some of the cards' individual stats as well. So first things first here, guys. I pointed this out on my Twitter today, but I find it really strange. Wayne Gretzky in Hut, his base card, like, he starts out 88 overall. His Edmonton card, which should be like when he was his best, 91 passing. There's an 88 Zegras, which has been boosted, 94 passing. So some people are saying it's a special card, it's different, and I agree. Like, special cards, you know, the realism kind of goes out the window, but in my opinion, the 88 Gretzky should have the highest passing stat in Hut of every single 88 overall card. Like, who's a better passer than Gretzky? Maybe that one's a bit too nitpicky, which I'll, you know, concede, but it was just something I was thinking. It really didn't sit right with me. Now, looking at some of the other Hut ratings here, guys. Right here, you have a look at Dylan Larkin, who I actually got to share on my Twitter, like, exclusively. No one else had his stats. So, one thing I noticed, he has 79 faceoffs. I feel like Larkin's probably a slightly above average faceoff taker. And it turns out in Hut, this year, 79 faceoffs is going to be the minimum faceoff stat for centers. So, I do like the fact they're making centers more usable in Hut. A lot of times you get a guy like Malkin or Kuznetsov. Their faceoff stat was way too low to ever use at center. Had to put him on the wing. Even a guy like McDavid, honestly, was usually a winger. So the fact that now all centers are at least decent, I do like. I do think it's a little bit lazy because, for instance, Larkin I think is a bit above average. They still have him here at 79, which is equal to Malkin, Kuznetsov. He should be higher than those guys. So again, a good idea, but I think, you know, could have, you know, had a bit more thought put into it. You got Victor Hedman next year. Obviously, he's huge at 6'6". Should have a pretty good slap shot power, 88. Not bad again. Strength, 89. Still crazy to me, Sarah Nurse has the same checking as him. So he's got 87 body checking. I assume, you know, hers would be 87 as well. Huberdeau there is a good passer. Patrice Bergeron, though, at least does have the higher faceoffs there, 87. Now, this one here was kind of crazy to me, guys. Jake Denzel is only 82 overall. I mean, this guy should be at least an 83, if not an 84. Definitely one of the most underrated players, I think, not only in the real-life NHL, but also in Game 2. Now, this one here, guys, annoyed me a little bit. Timo Meier's Hut card, 82 overall. Like Denzel, I think that's a little low. Probably should be like an 83. But what bugged me more than that was the fact that they gave him 84 speed and excel, 81 agility, which is quite low. I don't know if you guys are really looking at the speeds for the other cards, but 84 speed is, I think, the slowest forward card I've seen yet. Even Victor Hedman, who's not known for being that fast, he's big but not fast, is faster than Timo Meier there with 85 speed. And just to point out why this matters so much, right here, guys, look at the top speeds from the All-Star players this year. Timo Meier had the highest speed reach during the season. Faster than Makar, who obviously is known for being very fast. Faster than McDavid, who's also known for being fast. Jordan Kyrou, who won the fastest skater competition. And they made Timo Meier the slowest forward I've seen yet in Hut. It just makes no sense. Now right here, guys, look at Jack Hughes. Obviously, he's going to be a sick offensive player. Good speed, decent shot, sick hands. The only thing is, again, with the centers all having 79 faceoffs, just blanket across the board minimum. Like I said, it's really a lazy approach to the issue they had. I think what they should have done was kind of start them all out at like a 75, say, and then actually taking the time to, like, you know, make certain guys higher faceoff stats. Because, again, Jack Hughes, 79 faceoffs, equal to Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin's pretty good in the faceoff circle. Jack Hughes is terrible. Faceoff percentage there, 36, 35, 34. Like, the average in the NHL, I think, somewhere between, like, 48 and 50. He's terrible, and yet he's got the same faceoffs as Dylan Larkin. I don't know. You know, looking at, you know, the Hut ratings, I think they just don't make a lot of sense to me. I know they should be lower, which I'm fine with. I know the women should be higher. Again, I'm fine with. But I think when you actually, you know, get into the nitty-gritty of it, They could have done a much better job. So again, the good thing with HUD, I guess, is the special cards are going to come out, and maybe the special cards will fix some of the problems I've mentioned, but until then, yeah, definitely a little bit disappointed with the HUD ratings. But would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this one, leave that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the sub button. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.